All right. Well, good afternoon, Commonwealth. It is just after 4 o'clock. It's 4:17 here in the island of Saipan. I am not on the island of Saipan. I'm here in Buffalo, New York. We already talked about this a couple different times, but here with the family on vacation. Go figure. And I wake up in the middle of the night because I know this is the big thing for us today. So what we're gonna do is cover this. We can see that in the other screen where you're gonna be watching here in a little bit, excuse me, or you're gonna be watching in just a little bit, the folks on the other side over there at the legislature are just getting settled in and getting ready for their big day at the ballpark. So it is late here, but that's not an issue. We're having a great time, just happy to be here for sure. And then we're going to watch this stuff together because this is the story of the day. We're going to find out what's going to happen. Now, there's this big tug of war going on between the House and the Senate about the retirement. That part isn't this. This is all about the CUC and the funding for CUC, and should there be a line of credit extended to the folks at CUC? Now, we hear it a couple different ways. We hear it from the Senate, again, we hear it from the House in another way, and then we hear it directly from Commonwealth Utilities Corporations and what they have to say as well. And what they're saying is like, hey, there's no money. And we're not going to be able to get our recovery done unless we get this covered. And there's a lot of talk about like, is this something that's going to be good for us? Is this something that we should have or not? The main thing is that um, something's got to be done because we had Kimberly King Hines, our U.S. Congresswoman, on the other day. She was just talking about the finances in general, saying like, hey, we're on fire right now. We took a loan out just to pay for the retirement for up till the middle of July, and now they're trying to figure out how we're going to take care of it. Now the Secretary of Finance put out a letter saying that there's funds that are available for it, so they're ready to go whenever the House and Senate can settle and make that stuff work. But that's not there yet. So that's part of it. The other thing is the funding for CUC. We already know that there's an issue going on with the funding for CUC, and where they're at, and then not about if it's right or wrong. It's just that that's what it's at. That there is a real funding vacuum over there, and we could talk a lot about why, and everything. But we just got that memo from the executive director, who said, "Hey, we're out. We don't have anything. We don't have any funds. So your recovery work, your restoration work for the typhoons, that is now going to be a regular, everyday job. That they're not going to be able to do that outside of from 7:30 in the morning to 5:30 in the morning, period. And so that kind of puts everybody in a lurch, kind of wondering when are you going to get your power back. They said there's still 4,000 people in Saipan don't have their power. Oh, here we go. We're going to go down to the floor.
Let's try that again. Hafide, Laloas Mwamwai, and good afternoon, everyone, and happy Saturday. Thank you for spending your weekend with us. We hope you enjoy. I now call this first day, fourth special session to order, and let us all rise for a moment of silence.
Not sure why they mute that for the moment of silence, but they do.
Thank you, everyone. Welcome to all of you in the gallery, all in the viewing public, and to all those watching on cable and on the different social media platforms. Before we proceed, I now like to recognize the clerk to please call the roll of attendance. Clerk.
Representative Adda,
Present.
Representative Aldon, Representative Aquino,
Present.
Representative Atal,
Present.
Representative Beneventi,
Very good.
Representative Angelo Komatsu, Representative Diego Komatsu,
Present.
Representative Joel Komatsu,
Present.
Representative Joseph Flores,
Present.
Representative Marissa Flores,
Present.
Representative Maglonia,
Present.
Representative Ogo,
Present.
Representative Omar,
Gaigi.
Representative Palacios,
Gaya.
Representative Rangamar,
Present.
Representative Sablan,
Estigap.
Representative San Nicolas,
Present.
Speaker Villagomez,
Present.
Representative Yangtamay, Representative Yomo.
Present.
Mr. Speaker, all 20 members are present.
Thank you, Clerk. With 20 members present, a quorum is hereby established. And I now recognize the floor leader for the motion for the emergency declaration. Floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Pursuant to the Open Government Act and Rule 3, Section 7 of the Official Rules of the House of Representatives, I move that the House find that an emergency exists. The basis for the finding is the immediate need to prevent disruption to essential utility services and to ensure the timely restoration and stabilization of critical public infrastructure following Super Typhoons Sinlaku and Bavi, thereby necessitating the House's immediate consideration of House Bill number 24107, which appears on today's emergency agenda. So move.
Thank you, floor leader. A motion has been made for the emergency declaration and has been seconded. Any discussions? Ready? All right. With that, and the members being ready, we are now on the vote, and I recognize the clerk to please call the roll.
Representative Adda,
Yes.
Representative Aldan, Representative Aldan, apologize, Representative Aquino,
Yes.
Representative Atta,
Yes.
Representative Benaventi,
Yes.
Representative Angela Komatsu, Representative Diego Komatsu,
Yes.
Representative Joel Komatsu, Representative Joseph Flores,
Yes.
Representative Marissa Flores,
Yes.
Representative Maglonia,
Yes.
Representative Ogo,
Yes.
Representative Omar, Representative Palacios,
Good.
Representative Rangamar,
Yes.
Representative Sablan,
Hungan.
Representative San Nicolas,
Yes.
Representative Yangtamay, Representative Yomo.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker,
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, all 20 members present voted yes.
Thank you, clerk. With all 20 members present voting in the affirmative, the motion carries. The House hereby declares that an emergency exists. We now proceed to item number 2, public comments. The podium is open. You'll be given 5 minutes. Please state your name and the entity you represent. And please try to keep your public comments based on today's emergency session agenda. The mic is open.
Hafiz Zentiro, House Speaker, and members of the 24th Commonwealth Legislature. My name is Kim Camacho, and I'm the Executive Director for the Saipan Chamber of Commerce. On behalf of the Saipan Chamber of Commerce, I'm here to show our strong support for House Bill number 24-107. The severe impacts of Super Typhoon Sinlaku and Bavi have caused extensive damages to our island's critical infrastructure, including electrical generation facilities, transmission lines, water wells, and wastewater treatment systems. The resulting utility outages directly threaten public health and safety, stall local economic activity, disrupt emergency communications, and force our community to rely on boiled water notices. Prompt recovery of our power, water, and wastewater systems is essential to restoring normalcy in the Commonwealth, protecting public health and safety, and reopening our schools and businesses. On behalf of the Saipan Chamber of Commerce, I urge the legislature to pass House Bill number 24107 swiftly to ensure that the Commonwealth Utilities Corporation has the necessary resources to stabilize our infrastructure and support the Commonwealth's recovery. I appreciate the opportunity to provide input. Thank you for the consideration, support, and legislative efforts aimed at improving our community. Sisus Masis and Gilso.
Thank you, Ms. Camacho. The podium's still open for public comments.
Oops. Good afternoon, Speaker and members of this House body. My name is Miranda V. Manglonia. I am a board member from the island of Rota, representing the island of Rota in the Commonwealth Utilities Corporation. I am here also as a member of the community. So I would like to thank all the members of this body for supporting the request of CUC. It is not only for the island of Rota, but it will assist all the islands of the Commonwealth, Rota, Tinian, and Saipan. We all need this support to continue with the restoration efforts of Super Typhoon Sinlaku and Super Typhoon Bavi. So I ask these members to please consider and support this request. We will not continue with the restoration should this bill be not authorized. Again, on behalf of the people of Rota, I thank you and I look forward to working with this House body and the Senate in terms of transparency, accountability, and of course, CUC will continue to work in providing utility services, water and wastewater services to our community. Thank you again.
Thank you, Ms. Manglonia. Podium still open.
Good afternoon. My name is Rebecca White. You all saw my video. I am here as a board member and a community member. I hope I can go through this really quickly. Good afternoon to all our representatives here this afternoon. Thank you for taking time away from your families to be here for this emergency meeting to help address recovery efforts. Thank you for recognizing the corporation's critical needs to better respond to and assist our community. Thank you for all those who worked with the corporation on the bill's language. We all still hear it. There are still residences without electricity. In addition to the insufficient materials and funding, the comment of cost-cutting measures now unfortunately includes cutting work hours for our people, for the employees. That's going to cause further delay. There are additional budget and funding negotiations taking place within the corporation and its employees, as well as with vendors. It's on public record. But we've all repeatedly heard the question, how much longer does the community have to wait? What is also on the record is the corporation's CFO stating that because this is for recovery purposes, these funds will be reimbursed by FEMA. The team is already in communication and already prepping, so the process will move swiftly. It is disheartening that there are funds identified for a duplicative and redundant purpose rather than recovery. It is sadder that the corporation is constantly being targeted with that other purpose in hopes of failure rather than assisting the sole utility entity. That, among other misinformation and missing information, the public is being fed. Ratepayer protection begins with the ratepayers not having to shoulder the government's or the hospital's unpaid dues, nor the corporation shouldering those expenses. But it has for decades. NMI News Service's recent post quoted our delegate, King Hines, as stating that the CNMI budgets have for years appropriated $0 for utility operations. But rather than saying no collection, and I said collection with an L, not connection with an N, I was quoted as connection. For over 20 years, the correct words are, thank you to the government's and hospitals' representatives for working with the corporation to come up with an MOU, and most especially for making your payments. Stop the 20-year cycle. We need to address our community's needs. It doesn't just fall solely on the only utility for all three islands. Thank you again for supporting this bill and for helping us better assist our community.
Thank you, Ms. White. The podium's still open.
Hafide Tiro. Good afternoon, Mr. Speaker, members of the House of Representatives, and everyone present today. My name is Bettina, better known as Betty Terlahi. I am the Chief Financial Officer of the Commonwealth Utilities Corporation. Thank you for the opportunity to speak in strong support of House Bill 24-107, which would provide the Commonwealth Utilities Corporation with the financing authority necessary to continue and accelerate the restoration of utility services following Super Typhoon Sinlaku and most recently Super Typhoon Bavi. As of last night, there are more than 3,400 customers on Saipan, more than 125 customers on Tinian, and nearly the entire island of Rota, approximately 1,000 customers, remain without electricity. Combined, that is more than 4,500 homes, businesses, government operations, and critical facilities still waiting for power. These are not simply numbers on a restoration report. They represent families who have endured months without electricity, businesses struggling to reopen, and critical facilities serving our community under extremely difficult conditions. For many of these customers, it has now been more than 96 days without power. This is not simply CUC's disaster. This is a Commonwealth-wide disaster, and it requires a Commonwealth-wide response. No single agency should bear the financial burden of restoring Saipan, Tinian, and Rota after two devastating typhoons. Today, CUC is asking the legislature to provide one of the critical tools necessary to fulfill that shared responsibility, because there's no money elsewhere. House Bill 24-107 does not provide a handout to CUC. It provides the authority to obtain financing so restoration can continue while FEMA and other disaster reimbursements move through their normal process. Disasters do not wait for reimbursement, and neither can restoration. House Bill 24-107 authorizes CUC to obtain up to $40 million in emergency financing to fund restoration, stabilize operations, repair and replace damaged infrastructures, procure fuel and materials, support temporary generation, and pay contractors and other essential disaster-related costs. This financing will provide the working capital needed to accelerate restoration on Saipan and Tinian, while immediately supporting recovery efforts on Rota following Typhoon Bavi. I must be direct about the consequences of inaction. Without financing, restoration will eventually come to a halt. CUC will no longer have sufficient cash to pay vendors, contractors, mutual aid partners, fuel suppliers, equipment providers, and others who have supported this recovery. These businesses responded when the Commonwealth urgently needed assistance, and CUC has an obligation to honor those commitments. Financing also provides the bridge between today's restoration costs and tomorrow's disaster reimbursements. CUC cannot seek FEMA reimbursement for work it cannot afford to perform or invoices it cannot pay. Under House Bill 24-107, reimbursements received for expenses initially funded through the financing would generally be applied to reduce the outstanding loan balance, significantly reducing the long-term financial impact on the utility. Most importantly, This financing helps protect our ratepayers. The extraordinary cost of these disasters are not included in CUC's current rates. Without financing, CUC may have no choice but to seek a future rate adjustment to recover those costs directly from customers, an outcome we are working very hard to avoid. CUC did not have an emergency reserve sufficient to absorb 2 catastrophic typhoons. The cash we had on hand, although already committed to normal operation expenses, allowed us to carry the restoration effort this far because restoring essential utility services became the Commonwealth's highest priority. Those resources are now reaching their limits. Payroll, fuel, routine operations, vendor obligations, and ongoing restoration are all competing for the same limited cash resources. The proposed financing is not a convenience, it is a necessity. I would also like to address the proposal to use CUC's restricted customer security deposit account as collateral. CUC is not proposing to spend customer security deposits. Those funds will remain fully protected in their restricted account and will not be used to pay restoration expenses. They would serve only as collateral required by a lender to secure more favorable financing terms. Providing appropriate collateral will help CUC obtain financing more quickly and at a lower interest rate, reducing borrowing costs and minimizing any potential impact on the utility and its customers. Should the legislature choose not to authorize the use of the restricted account as collateral, CUC will still pursue financing because restoration must continue. However, financing without adequate collateral could result in higher interest rates, additional lender requirements, longer negotiations, and less favorable repayment terms. I also want to thank the House Committee on Infrastructure and Development for taking the time to understand CUC's financial condition and for working with us to develop this legislation. Their diligence has resulted in a responsible bill that provides accountability while giving CUC the financing tools it urgently needs. Before I conclude, I must respectfully address the misinformation and unsupported accusations that have been directed towards CUC and its employees. Public officials have every right to ask difficult questions, and CUC welcomes legitimate oversight. However, oversight must be based on facts and evidence, not misinformation, personal attacks, or unsupported accusations. To the chairman of the committee responsible for public utilities, I respectfully ask that you remember that CUC employees are also your constituents. They have worked for 96 days under dangerous and exhausting conditions to restore essential services to this Commonwealth. They deserve respect, appreciation, and constructive oversight, not unfounded attacks. We will not always agree, but we should be able to discuss our differences, examine the facts, and work towards solutions that serve the people of the Commonwealth. Misinformation does not install a power pole. It does not repair a generator. It does not reconnect a home. It does not restore a water well or bring back electricity back to a family. Working together does. In closing, I respectfully ask you to support House Bill 24-107 and provide CUC with the financing authority it urgently needs. This legislation will allow restoration to continue, ensure those who supported our recovery are paid, maximize FEMA and other disaster reimbursements, preserve CUC's financial stability, and help protect our ratepayers from unnecessary future costs. Most importantly, it will help restore power to the thousands of families, businesses, government facilities, and critical infrastructure that have now waited for 96 days for electricity today. This is a Commonwealth-wide disaster, and today the Commonwealth has an opportunity to respond together. CUC cannot do this alone. On behalf of the employees who continue working every day to restore our islands, and on behalf of the thousands of people still waiting for power, I respectfully ask for your support of House Bill 24-107. Thank you for your time, your service, and your consideration. Situs Masi.
Thank you, Mrs. Sterlai. Podium is still open for public comments.
Thank you, House Speaker and representatives. My name is Chevin Watson, the Executive Director of the Commonwealth Utilities Corporation. You know, I feel great to be part of such an organization as CUC, to see the sacrifices our men and women are making out there to restore the power, and the long hours that they put in to make this task and restore the power. They have a pride in the work they do and the accomplishments that they're making. I want to let you know that I do support this bill and will take the steps necessary to meet all the obligations that you've put with this bill for reporting and accountability. And I will urge that, you know, during this time of disaster, unprecedented in any time, that we do come together and work, and I urge you to support in favor of this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Watson. Podium still open. Looks like there are no further public comments. We'll now proceed to item number 3, the adoption of journals, and we have none. Proceed to item number 4, introduction of bills. And I recognize Representative Ralph Yumo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Now offering House Bill number 24-107 to authorize the Commonwealth Utilities Corporation to obtain emergency financing for utility restoration, stabilization, and fuel procurement in response to Super Typhoons Sinlaku and Bavi and related fuel supply disruptions, and for other purposes, offered by myself, Rep. Atto, Rep. Marisa Flores, and Speaker Villagomez, and I open up for additional co-sponsors. Okay, and being there's none, and if there's no objection, I would respectfully ask the floor leader to place this on the bill calendar for action today. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Yumo, and with no objection, I'd now like to recognize the floor leader for the suspension of the proper rules for placement of this bill on today's calendar. Floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move to suspend Rule 9, Section 8, and to place House Bill number 24-107 entitled to authorize the Commonwealth Utilities Corporation to obtain emergency financing for utility restoration, stabilization, and fuel procurement in response to Super Typhoons Sinlaku and Bavi and related fuel supply disruptions, and for other purposes on today's bill calendar. So move.
Thank you, floor leader. A motion has been made to suspend Row 9, Section 8, and it has been seconded. Any discussions?
Ready.
Ready? All in favor for the motion, please say aye. All opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. The motion carries. We now proceed down to House local bills. We have none. House legislative initiatives. We have none. Item number 5, introduction of resolutions. We have none. Item number 6, messages from the governor. We have none. Item number 7, Senate communications. We have none. Item number 8, House communications. We have none. Item number 9, communications from the judicial branch. We have none. Item number 10, communications from departments and agencies. We have none. Item number 11, miscellaneous communications. We have none. Item number 12, reports of standing committees. We have none. Item number 13, reports of special and conference committees. We have none. Item number 14, unfinished business. We have none. Item number 15, the resolution calendar. We have none on calendar. We now proceed to item number 16, the bill calendar, and I'd like to recognize the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. At this time, I move for the passage on first and final reading on House Bill number 24107, a bill for an act to authorize the
Floor
Commonwealth.
leader.
I'm sorry.
Quick recess now.
All right, well, they're taking a real quick
From
recess.
recess.
Here we go.
And
They're
before
back
we went
already.
on recess, we just entered the bill calendar, and I once again like to recognize the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I apologize to my colleagues on the floor and to those in the viewing public. It's a very hot topic, and I think I was ahead of myself trying to put this on the calendar without, on the bill without suspending the rules. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, before offering the motion for passage on first and final reading, I move to suspend Rule 7, Section 9, and Rule 9, Sections 9 and 10. So move.
Thank you, floor leader. A motion has been made to suspend Rule 7, Section 9, and Rule 9, Sections 9 and 10, and it has been seconded. Any discussions? Ready? All in favor for the motion, please say aye. All opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. The motion carries. Floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, colleagues. At this time, I now move for the passage on first and final reading on House Bill number 24107 to authorize the Commonwealth Utilities Corporation to obtain emergency financing for utility restoration, stabilization, and fuel procurement in response to Super Typhoon Sinlaku and Bavi and related fuel supply disruptions, and for other purposes. So move.
Thank you, floor leader. A motion has been made for the passage of House Bill 24-107, and it has been seconded. Any discussions? Ready? Recognize Representative Vincent S. Aldan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and colleagues, and to the viewing public. I would like to offer a floor amendment to the bill. Where is that?
Would you like a quick recess, Representative Aldan?
Yes, please.
Okay, quick recess.
All right, so while we're here, we're just waiting for this floor amendment. So right now, the rules have been adjusted. Everything's pushed through to get the vote on, or get the bill on the calendar. And now they took a quick recess. Representative Vincent Aldan Cobre, big time vocal opponent to the passage of this, is about to make an amendment. So we're just waiting. They went to recess while they're doing that, and when they come back, we'll have it for you. But the that's the big deal. So right now, everybody, it was unanimous that they voted that there was an emergency. So we're in agreement on that. And now we're going to find out what this floor amendment is going to be. The big thing was, we were wondering, is he going to vote yes and to this in the first place? But now that's not the question anymore. Now the question is, what are these amendments going to be? So we're literally just sitting tight and waiting while they're on their break right now. While they're not really on a break, sorry, while they're in recess. I think he's just looking up the info that he wants to make, and then they're going to bring him right back on the screen. And when they do, then we'll have that on there for you. But they do this. I wish that they would just keep them on the screen the whole time. I think that that's the best way to go. But hey, that's just me. Okay, let's get this name all set. We got his name ready to go. When they're ready to put it on there, we'll have him on there. But either way, we're just on a little break with them right now as they get ready to make this introduction. So we're here with you. We're just kind of hanging out and watching all this stuff. If you've got any questions or comments, you can put them in the comments where they're with you. There we go. Robert Myers saying the most popular motion is typically to suspend the rules. Next, to informally move or quick recess, wheeling and dealing. So I wonder what's going on. And that's something I've got, by the way, zero intent to do any of that stuff. But one of the things, if I ever did run for this, I would make sure that screen, even if it is a recess, that it's up there. everybody could still see what's happening and all that. Because right now it kind of looks like we're behind the the curtain while this is happening. And I'm not a big fan of it. So the other thing is, though, we're able to bring you more with all this stuff from this angle while we're waiting anyway. But even if we were down there, there's not a whole lot more than we would see, but it would just be a way more open process. All right, they're starting to fade it back in. So that part we got going on right now. So let's do this. Let's start sharing over here. They are in recess, but we're able to see what's going on. So we got that going for us, which is nice. And we can kind of see what's happening. And you can see them talking to each other across the panel. They're talking to each other, neighbor to neighbor, while they're figuring this stuff out. We're looking all the way down at Representative Aldan, all the way down at the end. You can still make him out. And as he's getting ready, he's standing up. He's ready to go. He's raring to go to make his amendments. Now he's walking over to the legal counsel, asking some questions about that. We're giving you a play-by-play of what's going on here. Let me try to get you on a little bit. But yeah, we're here for all of this right now. Video. Yeah, just like in court. I'm with you. By the way, while you're talking about court, we have already, through the SPJ, Society of Professional Journalists, have asked the court to give us a little bit of room to move on recording and doing video in there. And I think the pushback that we've received so far has been because they don't want to have the courtroom be a circus. They don't want people acting out for it. One of the things that we had heard is that, well, we don't want you to go live because that's not the official record. Well, it is the official record because it's happening live. So, but it's not the official record, but it's what's happening. So I like the idea of doing. I think eventually those rules will change for the court, but in the meantime, we just have to go in there, freeze in that courtroom, and wait. Looks like it might be a little while. Rep TJ going out for a little walk over. And my goodness, I could maybe he's going for a coffee, which doesn't seem like to be a bad idea right now. Robert Meyer says, "Hey, what time is it there?" Oh, I will tell you, it is 5 minutes before 3 in the morning here on the East Coast. So, but this is a big deal. I thought about sleeping through it, and when I woke up, and I'm like, no, this is a big deal. This is going to be the news for us, and this is one of many things. Okay, Rep Aldan is back in his spot, and I see Dan Shore from KSPN is getting ready to turn his camera back on and record. Got him working on a Saturday. By the way, what does it take to get these guys to work on a Saturday? Don't get me wrong. I know some of them work every single day, just not always in the office here. Now, they're out there doing different things for their constituents. They work different hours and all that. But you got everybody in there on a Saturday. You think this is important? I think the answer is clear. They're absolutely understanding the gravity of this. So, again, the big question we had is, what is Representative Aldan going to do? What's he going to say? What's his take on this? We knew that for sure it was that he was not going to be a fan of it. He's spoken quite a bit about it. He said that he would take it to the courts if he had to make sure that something like this doesn't happen. You can see Floor Leader just went over to speak with him, and I think he's getting ready. Floor Leader's taking her spot again. Representative Beneventi getting up, going for a stroll, going down to talk to Roy Atta. Oh, only whispered something in his ear and is going out the door. This is a vote you don't want to miss. And the reasoning for the amendments you probably don't want to miss either. I would imagine that all of the representatives in the room are going to get the opportunity to view all these amendments, not just hear them. But no matter what happens here, the question is what's going to happen next? This is just one of the big issues. And it's difficult. I'll tell you what, it is difficult to watch it being from off island right now. Not just being from off island, but from off island. Got a little of both. You know, for our folks out here in the mainland, part of the diaspora, you know, watching what the heck's going on back home. You know, you got your utilities saying, hey, we don't have any money. And we didn't have money before, but we don't have extra money to restore us after back-to-back typhoons, super typhoons, Cat 5s that devastate us. The good news is that they got everybody together and everybody showed up. So what's next? The retirement issue is a big one. What happens there? Just wait, because there's other issues coming. It's all going to come down to a central fact that the cupboard is bare. There are no more cookies left in the cookie jar. And so you're going to watch our leaders, our elected officials, do what they can with what's left. And it's not easy. It is not going to be easy. And that's why this next election is going to be interesting too, because who wants to run to handle this kind of stuff? Who wants to run to manage money that's probably not even really there? Not a whole lot of it anyway. So that's the tough pull. Who wants to run to do this kind of stuff? And that is why you can't give a hard time to everybody who wants to run, even if you disagree with who they are, even if you disagree with who they represent and who their party might be or some of their ideologies and all that stuff. If they're running to be in an election with this impending fiasco, this impending fiscal fiasco, then they're part of the people who aren't just there trying to complain. They're people trying to make a difference. And you got to give it up for people who are willing to do that. No matter who, again, no matter who it is. Don't worry about their name. Don't worry about their party. Don't worry about, their ideologies. If they're trying to run for office, they're trying to save the Commonwealth from the inside. They're not just complaining. That's awesome. And I'll tell you, it's not private businesses who are coming to save the Commonwealth. It's going to take the people who make the very laws, the people who make the very policies that guide sure, the businesses will have a say in it, right? Sure, the organizations will have a say in it because we're just people, whether it's the business or the organizations or anything. The main thing, though, is that these folks who are in office are the ones who are going to really make those decisions, and they're going to write those laws. They're going to pass those laws and get that stuff done, get it across the finish line. And who starts first with the tough stuff? Like, you know what I would like to see? I would like to see, hey, we've got all these problems, so we, like CUC shouldn't be able to come and ask for that line of credit unless they're talking to us about what they're going to do to reduce some of their expenses also. I want to hear the executive director saying, hey, I gave up my car. Hey, except for emergency response folks, nobody can bring one of their company vehicles home. Hey, the board can't travel. We are not buying lunch for the meetings. We are not sending people off island to be here for the meetings. They got to be here through Zoom unless they want to come over there by themselves because we don't have the money for that kind of stuff right now. If they're not making those kind of decisions, then they can't ask everybody else to tighten their belts if they're not willing to do it for themselves. That's not calling them out on anything. They're not abusing anything. This is literally just saying, if you're going to make everybody feel it, you got to show, you got to lead by example. And nobody wants to be that first person. And that's the tough one. Who's going to do it first? Who's going to be the first person to make that difference? And show it through action, not just words. So we're here for it. And we appreciate all of this. We're just waiting while they're on break. So for those of you guys who are just tuning in, where we're at right now is that it's just recess. Am I able to do that from here? That would be pretty cool. I'm going to try something here. I think that's how we're going to end up running this. At least for now. There we go. Yeah, until they get back. We're just waiting. We're just waiting for them to get back here. Trust is earned. Yeah, totally. I totally agree with that. Completely and totally agree with that. All right. Well, the speaker's not there. The vice speaker is. The floor leader is. Not all of the representatives are there. Maybe they're just giving themselves a couple more minutes for a break. Oh, speaker's making his way back now. Can't miss him. Can't miss him. The imposing presence. All right, it looks like they're handing out some documents. Let's see if these are the printed versions of the proposed amendments. Maybe that's what they're doing. Floor leader now running them all the way down to Rep. Aldan. And I am one good cup of coffee into this. I might have to bring another one. Yeah, Robert says take a coffee break. The only thing I'm worried about is one, this coming back on when I'm gone, and number two, I would still like to sleep after this is done. Here, 3:04 in the morning here on the East Coast. But that is where we are right now. This is the big deal. All right, Cobra going around. He's signing something now. When you see me looking off to the side, I've got the other monitor here. It says usually notice of amendments should have already been served before even emergencies. Yeah, I'm not sure what the rules are. We did post what he gave us the other day, yesterday today for us. Well, yesterday for us, I guess, with all the amendments that he had proposed, and in fact, it'd be pretty cool if we were able to knock this out real quick and be able to tell you about what the announcements or what the amendments were that he mentioned. So he gave us a few things, and he gave us he made a big statement about it and everything. But I got in his own words that he's not going to support a blank check on this borrowing. So in the statement that he gave, by the way, if you want to read this for yourself, it's available on NMINewsService.com. Just don't want to bring it onto that screen right now because I don't want to mess it up for you. But it says, hey, before the legislature authorizes this, CUC must clearly establish how much money it actually needs, what each dollar will be used for, what cash and other resources are already available, what insurance, FEMA, grant, and disaster reimbursements are expected, what assets or revenues will be pledged, what the interest rate and total financing costs will be, how long repayment will take, what customers will be charged, who will independently verify the expenditures, and what consequences will apply if the authority is misused. It says, so for those reasons, I'm demanding that the following protections be inserted. And there's a lot of them. Here we go. And I'll skip through them pretty quick. If there's time, I can give you more. It looks like
Guys,
we're getting
back
ready.
from recess, back to session, and before we went on recess, Representative Vincent S. Aldan had the floor, and sir, the floor is still yours.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to offer the following floor amendment to House Bill 24-107, page 5, line 9, to read as follows. A legislative notice not less than, not less than 10 calendar days prior to closing any financing option authorized by this act, CUC shall transmit to the presiding officers of both houses of the legislature, the chairperson of the legislative committee with jurisdiction over public utility and fiscal affairs, and the legislative bureau, a written notice identifying, consistent with the intent of the foregoing amendment, I hereby also move to allow the legal counsel together with the House clerk to make further non-substantive technical amendments that are strictly necessary to effectuate the intent of this amendment. The legal sufficient signature of House Legislative Council contained in the final engrossed version of a bill shall reflect the signature of the council endorsing the last amendment, if any, addressed by the House. So moved.
All right. Thank you, Representative Aldan. Floor amendment has been offered as stated, and it has been seconded. Any discussions? Ready. All right. All in favor for the floor amendment offered by Representative Aldan, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. The motion carries. We now move back to the main motion, which is the passage of House Bill 24-107, HD1. Any further discussions? Recognize Representative Aquino.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and colleagues. I rise in support of House Bill 107 because the people of the Commonwealth deserve reliable electricity and water and wastewater services. We cannot ignore the challenges facing CUC, and we must act to ensure these essential services continue without interruption. However, my vote today is not a blank check. This emergency financing must mark a turning point for CUC. It must be used to strengthen the corporation's financial foundation, improve operational efficiency, and restore public confidence. Borrowing money is not a solution by itself. It is an opportunity, one that comes with a responsibility to change the way we manage our resources and plan for the future. I support this bill because it includes independent audit requirements and gives the legislature and the public auditor the authority to request additional independent reviews. Those safeguards are essential. Every dollar borrowed must be accounted for. Every expenditure must withstand public scrutiny, and every decision must reflect the public interest. I also want to be clear, this loan cannot become an excuse to shift financial burden onto our ratepayers. Families and businesses are already carrying the weight of higher living costs. They should not be asked to pay for inefficiency or poor financial management. CUC must use the funds wisely, improve its financial performance, and pursue every reasonable measure to control costs before looking to the people for additional revenue. My hope is that the legislation gives CUC the opportunity to become a financially strong and self-sustaining public utility. A stronger CUC is in the best interest of the Commonwealth. Financial stability, transparency, and responsible management will protect both our utility and people it serves, while reducing the risk that future financial crises force choices that none of us want to make. Today I vote to support this measure with a clear expectation that CUC will earn the public's trust through accountability, sound financial stewardship, and measurable results. The people deserve nothing less. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And one more thing, while the director and deputy director is here, I do like outside community work, and I've been addressing this issue. There's an anti-littering law in place, and after the typhoon, every typhoon, even during regular maintenance, during these telephone pole replacements, they leave the wires behind. They leave the ceramic, I don't know what they call them. They're steels. They become projectiles. For like myself, Parks and Recs, Public Works, when we do roadside maintenance, these projectiles can actually hurt somebody or kill somebody. So I'm asking you guys to please, if you take down the wires, pick them up and take them with you. It's not that difficult. You guys got the cutters, cut it and take it with you. Because one day you're going to see someone that gets seriously hurt. You're going to see people's properties damaged. It's all because we left it behind. So please, while you're here, there's a lot of wires that are out there by the road, and those are a danger for us. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Rep. Aquino. The floor is still open. Representative J.P. Sablan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I do also want to state for the record my strong support of the proposed legislation before us, House Bill number 24-107. I want to also thank the members of the public, including the management of CUC and the board members of CUC who have provided oral testimony in support. I know that giving authorization for any kind of loan or line of credit is not popular, but in this time, in this situation that we have right now as a result of the devastating damages of Super Typhoon Sinlaku and Bavi, we are in this predicament right now. But I do also want to challenge the management of CUC and the board of CUC to diversify our infrastructures with power and water and look on other renewable energies such as solar power. I know that at this moment, the management and board of CUC have entertained an RFP of a solar farm, and I encourage them to continue pushing that. We need to diversify our infrastructure, and I believe in your guys' leadership, and I just want to state for the record, and I'm ready to vote to this legislation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Rep. J.P. Sablan. I recognize Representative Malcolm Omar.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and also to my colleagues, good afternoon, everybody here. I also want to push for support for House Bill 24-107 with a clear message that this bill is our responsibility in two folds: to act with urgency to protect the people of our Commonwealth, and also, while doing that, we can demand also accountability and reform. You know, our people cannot afford additional hardships, and this legislature cannot afford inaction, like that was mentioned. We can still with regular, require greater transparency, with regular reporting to the legislature, stronger financial controls, and long-term strategic planning that reduces dependence in emergencies. So, like was mentioned, this is not a handout. So without this, after the storms that we endured, our islands endured, it's put a very grave strain to our utilities infrastructure, and allowing them now this authorization to borrow money or to supplement. This will lead to greater supplementation, and also it will lessen the strain it has on our infrastructure program that we're currently facing. And I know this is not only like was mentioned, not 10 years or 10 years plus, going back 20 years, and it's always been put on the back burner. So I just feel this is at the time most urgent to continue providing services to our people, and so that we can live comfortably. I mean, everybody owes CUC, and it's just with our present economic situation that we've been facing currently and previously, the corporation's been there to continue to provide services to our people. So I'm also ready to vote, and I urge my colleagues to support 24-107. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Omar. Representative Faldan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As much as it pains me, no, and frustrates me to know exactly the inner workings of a utility, that we have to come to a point where we got to get beat up by back-to-back super typhoons. That we come to the point where we are in the millions in arrears that hasn't been collected for decades. And here we are. We're about to grant this institution $40 million. And this $40 million is not free. But because we are placed in a predicament that is decades in the making, this money got to be paid back with interest. So to the people of the CNMI, I am sorry that we have to come to this point where you, not so much as myself, but you will pay this money with interest. And that is the reason why that I proposed to amend a portion of this legislation to ensure that CUC does not use your security deposit as collateral. Because under Title 4, Division 8, subsection 8143, Part B, second to the last sentence, deposits shall be placed in an interest-earning trust fund to be established by the executive director. Funds collected shall not be used for any other purposes. A trust fund, that money does not belong to CUC. It does not belong to the legislature. It belongs to every single customer that we have no right to be putting in a collateral. That is not their money. If I were to cut my CUC power off and any debt that I incur, that money is supposed to be used to cover that. If that money is no longer there because it's placed under collateral, then who pays for that? Okay? And then somebody brought up this Public Law 16-16, Public Law 16-02 on Section 6, Part B. Back then, CUC was allowed to use security deposit as collateral, 50% of it. It was illegal then, and it's illegal now. That money doesn't belong to the corporation. It belongs to every customer. Until such time that the customer defaults, okay, then that money pays for that default. Okay, but that bill is already dead. Because that bill says such funds shall not be used for any other purposes except CUC may use up to 50% of the security deposit to pay for its fuel expenses during fiscal year 2008, with a condition that CUC return the said funds within 3-year period. You guys can talk anything you want. But nobody can pull a blind eye over my face, or my eyes, and tell me that, no, this is the way we're running it, and this is the right way to run it. Because as a person that has been doing this kind of job, half of my life, I know how to run it. I know how it's supposed to be run, and I know how it's supposed to be financed. And I know for a fact that if you are $40 million in arrears, plus, you'd be fired. So now to the people of the CNMI, you just incurred yourself another $40 million debt. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Aldan. Floor Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I'm not going to take a lot of time on this. I just need to stress what's important and the constitutional oath I took. I've got people in my precinct with no power. The hospital sits in Precinct 3. Garapan School, Grace Christian Academy, all of these areas, let's not forget the countless of apartments that pay into the system, the BGRTs that help the economy pay for salaries, including the executive branch, this branch, the judiciary branch, and all the other branches. My oath was very clear. Public safety, ensure that public safety, health and welfare, and education are protected at all costs. While I might, and people might not agree with how this came about historically, this entire system has not fulfilled its obligation historically. It's not just CUC, but I cannot sacrifice 4,000 people. I will not. Period, at the end of the day. This bill will pass, I think. I know what I'm voting for. And I'm going to support this bill because why? This bill does one thing and one thing only. Give CUC the tools to finance. Simple. CUC, you might have a higher road up at the Senate, but I tell you this much. If you really want this bill to pass, there's other bills also, including the audit bill that Rep. Cobre has up there. But our position is simple. When you came here, we asked you, what do you need? And you said, the tools. And this is what this is. Improved systems require improved leadership. This bill forces better planning, documentation, and transparency from CUC and the rest of the government. It aligns emergency action with constitutional principles, public purpose, fiscal responsibility, and accountable management. If we do nothing, knowing the risk of thousands of residents, we are not upholding the Constitution. We are stepping away from it. If we pass this with strong safeguards, we are using the law the way our Constitution intends, to solve real problems and protect our people. It's simple. But CUC, this responsibility falls on you. You have this job to power up, stabilize, pay the line crew, buy the fuel. That's your function. We are just here to give you the tool. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm ready to vote. I yield my time.
Thank you, Floor Leader. The floor is still open for discussion. Representative Ogle.
Thank you, Speaker. It is a tough decision what we're placing ourselves in this situation. No, I just came back from Rota. The devastation is extreme. We're 0% energized right now in Rota. The most difficult thing that my constituent is enduring right now is to rehydrate, to be comfortable, and that's the most difficult situation is getting those supplies to Rota through water. And I've been through this experience last week trying to offload those donations because the Coast Guard will contact the captains of the vessel to stand down. The relief effort was delayed a week. The water, we depend on our water from the cave. We have issues with broken pipes. It takes several days or even a week or two for people to get water, drinking water, but they have to boil it. We appreciate all the donors from all over the world here in the Marianas and in Guam for bringing those donations. I am in support of this bill. It's not a popular bill to continue the effort of restoration, not just for the third and second senatorial, but most especially to my island of Rota, they have 0% power energized. We're in the dark. Even our communications, families from all over the world trying to reach their families, friends, just to see if they're safe. Reaching out to them, what do they need to get through? And I appreciate everyone's support of this bill so we can move forward, get back into normalcy, and with added languages to also, protect our ratepayers. So again, thank you to all of you. We need 14 votes to pass this bill and move forward to normalcy for the Marianas. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Julie. Floor is still open. Representative Atau.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First and foremost, I want to extend our appreciation to the team at CUC, Council Mike Ernest first, and our Council Carrie here for working on this legislation. And this is not a overnight legislation, guys. This legislation has been worked on for the last couple of months. And it's not that the legislature didn't want to act on the legislation itself. Our councils were going back and forth on the language of the bill. So for that, we thank them, thank the councils for working together, and to the CUC team for making themselves available yesterday to review the legislation so we can work out our differences. We made an amendment just this afternoon for this legislation. We haven't voted on it, but we voted on the amendment and it passed. And with that, CUC is not even challenging that amendment. It may add an additional 5 days to their negotiations or to sign off on the actual contract. But at least we added another layer. For all the concerns that were brought up by every member, and this is brought out by the community members, where are the layers for CUC? The legislation itself has multiple layers and protection to the ratepayers. And CUC themselves were the ones that included those layers. The legislature involvement, the executive branch involvement, CPUC's involvement, CUC's involvement, most especially the CFO of CUC. Because at the end of the day, she has a difficult task of answering to the callers, to the people. And she will be the only one that's going to be obligated to have to defend this in court on the financing side, right? So we've done our work. I know that this is a tough legislation, a tough pill to swallow, but our people voted for us to be in these seats to make these kinds of decisions. It's unfortunate that super typhoons have put us in this predicament to come up with the legislation. But you know what? Give yourselves credit because we all worked on this legislation. CUC wasn't left out. CUC has their fingerprints all over this legislation. And that's where we can, it's a way, I guess, that we thrive in pressured situations as a people of the Commonwealth. And it shows that we can still work together, no matter our differences. Congressman Aldon, Chairman Aldon, had a lot of concerns, but we're also very protective of his legislation that's hitting in the Senate. And CUC understands that. And that's why they also included measures in this specific legislation that would address some of the concerns that were being brought up by Congressman Aldon. So if there's anything and if there's pressure, then let it be the pressure for you, but it shouldn't. It shouldn't be pressure for any of us here. Our people put us in this situation, in these seats, so that we make these kinds of decisions. Sinlaku and Bavi just fast forward all of that into one piece. And we hope and we pray to God that there's no other super typhoon that comes in, because we will be back here amending this specific legislation to include that disaster. Like Floor Leader said, we're giving CUC the tools that they're asking for to move forward. It's not the most popular
legislation out in the public right now. Everybody's crying about it because they're worried about their rates. The CFOs already testified that this will not affect the rates of the ratepayers. These will be addressed by reimbursements. Rep. John Paul Sablan brought up the idea of renewable energy. They've inked, or they're working on inking a contract, a $350 million contract for renewable energy and solar powered energy for the CNMI. 53 megawatts for Saipan, and I believe it's 10 for Rota and Tinian. So they're doing their part, right? So let's give ourselves credit that we're working together to get things done. You know, we're in these seats because our people trust in us. If they didn't trust in us, none of us would be here. We would be replaced instantly. And they have that power come November. So let's not fear the challenges. We thrive. Our ancestors lived how many years through many typhoons, and they were able to get us to this point. The very least we can do is let's get our next generation to the next point of who we are as a Commonwealth. So with that, I believe every single member supports this legislation based on our situation. And if there's no objection, Mr. Speaker, from the members, if you would all include your name and sign this bill as a committee of the whole, so it shows that the members of the House of Representatives stands to work for the people, and that we've created this legislation with the work that CUCF inputted in this legislation. That would be work that everybody is putting together so that we provide for our people in this situation. So I challenge each and every one of you, ink that paper so that we introduce this as a committee of the whole. We already agreed that it's a declared emergency session, so let's agree to pass this as a whole. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
No objection.
Thank you, Representative Atao. Rep. Yumo, I guess that offer is still open and with no objection. Clerk, please let the record reflect that House Bill 24-107 HD1 is hereby sponsored or co-sponsored by the Committee of the Whole. Okay, floor is still open. Representative Yumo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Rep. Atta, for those kind words. But members, we've been in this situation, or I've been in this situation many times. We haven't defaulted on any of our debt, our financing since the 18th retirement. We've helped the hospital. Now we're helping CUC. This is the first time CUC has ever come to the table. I know they, looking at their financial statement from 2022, they haven't had any long-term debt. So it shows that whatever debts that they had in the past, they're taking care of it. Otherwise, it will be noted here in their audit book. So like I said, we've helped the hospital. The hospital paid their debt. We've helped the retirees when we borrow monies for the government. So this is not the first time. I can go and sleep tonight and know the fact that we're helping CUC to get back on track. Although I didn't want to amend the bill, I wanted to pass as is. But that's the compromise this morning is to this afternoon is to satisfy that everybody will be able to support the bill. So we'll move forward now, and we hope that our counterparts at the Senate will act on this swiftly, and hopefully they act on it Monday. And now that whoever the financing institution is probably listening to us right now they can start preparing the documents, and that they heard everybody here approving of the approval of the emergency financing. So with that, thank you, members, and I'm ready to vote.
Thank you, Representative Yumo. The floor is still open under discussion. Representative Yang Tamai.
Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Rep. Yumel and councils for working on this very important House Bill 24107. I just want to say that I went around Precinct 3 because the names of Precinct 3 reps have been going down because they're not connected, this and that. So perhaps this bill will give CUC the financing, the funding to buy maybe more trucks or hire more people, to connect these places, because they've been out of power for 3 months, about 3 months. And at least one of them was connected. That made me a little bit happy, and Precinct 3 members, you should be a little bit happy also. And yeah, that's a +1 for us. So yes, so I do support this bill, and I'm ready to vote.
Thank you, Representative Yanktamai. Representative Beneventi, you had your hands up, sir.
Mr. Speaker and members, we're here putting things together, try to help each other, both CUC and everyone. You know, the devastation that we had is everybody's problem here in the CNMI, including Rota, Tinian, and Saipan. And it's a challenge. We face a challenge because 2 consecutive typhoons to hit us is very unique. That's the first time I've had that close that I've seen typhoon. I just like to, first and foremost, I just like to give CUC a great appreciation for the employees that are there, that right after typhoon, they are out there. I'll tell you, they are out there. Because I get checked up too by constituents. And that people, that line crews and everyone, all their logistics are all out there trying to assess the situation, start working on the situation, try to revive back whatever we lose during the typhoon, during that time. So I agree with what Representative Atto has mentioned. Let's all work together as a team and put this thing together, because we got elected here to serve the people, and we're not only serving the people, people are also serving us at the same time. So we just have to work of that fashion. Mr. Speaker, dangkulo na si Diyos Mosi. Wala na dangkulo na si Diyos Mosi, siya ay toto CUC. Ni manggaygi gwini po ako sa masasapit siya loki. Manuhudong distitutun. Wanay up to about kana 12 midnight. Umano jo check. Manggaygi gisanizong naman masususo. Wafan mangune kondit pus. Ulilian siya na problema. Sa suso loki maligo siya ni constituent. Mafapaisinzo. Lo, ani ulilisti siya kinalamtin niya. Idyo na, timosadzo para bay suportas tinabiyo sa ofa malaguzo na gwagwa esta pogo timanoon kandid niya. Gwini Saipan. Lamigaya timanoon kandid niya. Dyan nisita tas pempenyo. After mano data ligo tas portas siya natutawag. Da pwede ata salba problema niya. And now, Mr. Speaker, si Diyos Mosi. And thank you, CUC.
Si Diyos Mosi, Representative Beneventi, Representative Joel Camacho.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just real quick, and I just want to echo the sentiments of Rep. Beneventi. And regards to House Bill 24-107, I fully support this legislation, but I too want to thank CUC, the hardworking employees, people like my brother Jonathan. You know, I see him come home late nights and looking like he's a zombie, and you know, I can empathize with what they're going through daily, and the frustrations from our community that are still patiently awaiting to get connected. Just this morning, on my way to a T-ball game, I met up with 2 customers, and they're like,
hey, where's your brother John? I'm like, I don't know, I don't keep track of his whereabouts, but I could see that because they're trying to get connected, and they haven't been connected since Sinlaku hit. And Asthma Twist, as well as Cagman, and I know some parts of the island, but Asthma Twist and Cagman took a beating from Sinlaku, and there's so many customers still in Asthma Twist in our areas, and I'm sure in Cagman as well and other places in the island. But that they're patiently waiting, and I'm hoping that with the passage of this, that you guys go to the Senate and please lobby on that end, and hopefully they expedite this House Bill 2 on their end, and we can get the finances that you need, and you can get those customers that need to get connected online. So thank you. With that said, Mr. Speaker, thank you.
Thank you, Representative Joel. Floor is still open. Representative Camacho, Angelo.
Sorry, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I was just going to say, I'm ready to vote so that we can all get turned on.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're ready? Ready. All right. Clerk, please call the roll.
Representative Adda,
Yes.
Representative Aldon, Representative Aquino,
Yes.
Representative Atta,
Yes.
Representative Benaventi,
Ungan.
Representative Angelo Komatsu,
Yes.
Representative Diego Komatsu,
Yes.
Representative Joel Komatsu,
Okay.
Representative Joseph Flores,
Yes.
Representative Marissa Flores,
Yes.
Representative Manglonia,
Yes.
Representative Ogo,
Yes.
Representative Omar,
Hungan.
Representative Palacios,
Ungan.
Representative Rangamar,
Yes.
Representative Sablan,
Hungan.
Representative Siniklas,
Yes.
Representative Yanktamai,
Awat.
Representative Yomo.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker,
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, all 20 members present voted yes.
Thank you, Clerk. And with all 20 members voting yes, that musters the vote. House Bill number 24-107, House Draft 1, hereby passes the House. Thank you, colleagues. We now move down to item number 17, miscellaneous business, and the floor is open. Recognize Representative Roy Adda.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank our councils from CUC and from the legislature for working on this bill, and the author, Representative Yumo, for introducing this bill, and for all the members here that supported it. Thank you so much. And most especially to the management, the staff, the men and women of CUC. Thank you so much for your service. We are greatly appreciative of the work that you do, and we are 100% behind you. So thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative Adda. Floor is still open. Floor leader.
Thank you, and I'm going to keep this short. I was asked that someone asked me to kind of put this out there, and this is in regard to FEMA. But before I get to that, I'd also like to take this time to thank CUC. You know, I love my line crew very much, and I'm really hoping that whatever we do moving forward, I know this tool is made for that, so please take care of our line crew. And let them know that, you know, we're all rooting for you guys. We just need everyone to be powered up so that they can feel safe, and especially the Manomko and those that are sick. Anyway, thank you guys for being here. But on another note, this is in regard to the FEMA process. And apparently, I guess there is some confusion now about conflicting information about supporting documents. So while a senator, I guess Senator Manny had been signing off some stuff down there at the multipurpose, and also the representatives had been taking the proactive approach at signing these documents, confirming or declaring that they're from our district. Apparently now there's some confusion, and at this point, people cannot wait for them to determine whether or not what is correct or not. These systems should have been in place already. And whether one senator signed it, he doesn't know who lives in my precinct. I'll just tell you that now. That's the truth. Because he was a representative, House representative from the 2nd Senatorial District, ran as a senator, but he doesn't know who lives in my precinct, I'll tell you that. So whatever declarations that we have turned in as House of Representatives that pertain to our precinct, that is valid. It doesn't just need one senator's declaration to determine whether or not that individual lives in my village or that house belongs to them. So I respectfully call on FEMA to immediately clarify and standardize the guidance so that we can ensure fairness, consistency, and get the timely assistance out, because the people who have been devastated and suffered on the loss during Sinlaku greatly need their papers approved, and a consistent internal system that tells them exactly what they need one time, not 500 times. Thank you. I yield my time.
Thank you, Floor Leader. The floor is still open under miscellaneous. Ready? All right. We now move down to item number 18, announcements. Any announcements? Ready? I recognize Representative Julie under announcements.
Thank you, Speaker. I just want to make an announcement. Red Cross opens the Rota Resource Centers for the Song Song Village, Saturday and Sunday, July 18th to the 19th, and in San Apollo, San Isidro Parish Church, Monday and Tuesday, July 20 to 21. A valid ID is required to apply. Please, if anyone out there that don't have any or has connection, please spread this out into the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Ogo. Any further under announcement? Representative Aquino.
I just want to thank everyone, all members. It's been a while since I've seen you guys, and it's good to see you guys again. Thank you. Have a good weekend.
Thank you, Rep. Aquino. Any further under announcements? Ready? We now move down to adjournment, and I recognize the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. At this time, I move to adjourn, subject to the call of the chair. So move.
Thank you, floor leader. A motion has been made for adjournment and has been seconded. Any
Okay,
discussions?
so they
Ready?
are
All in favor,
moving
please
to
say aye.
adjourn now.
All opposed, please say nay.
And
The
that
ayes have
is
it. This
gonna
emergency
be how
session is
they
hereby
wrap it
adjourned.
up.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what, that is them wrapping up and calling it a day. What we're going to do, hold on, let me get you, take that part off for right now. And we'll get you an update about everything here in just a second. So it's official, it's done, and that's it. So the House unanimously passes House Bill 24107, authorizing CUC to borrow up to $40 million for typhoon restoration and fuel. There was an amendment on the floor to recover legislative notice before any loan closes, and co-sponsored. The whole thing was co-sponsored by every single member. That's everybody. The bill now heads to the Senate, which convenes on Monday at 3:30. There's more than 4,500 homes and businesses that still remain without power. We're going to put all of the updates on after this is done. I know you're thinking, how can you do that? Well, because we're magic. We can do all that kind of cool stuff. But reality is that we got some hustling to do. So I'm trying to get a phone call. I might come back in a little bit, but what we're going to do is start getting this. So we've already got the request in for some updates from our good representatives over there. But that's it. In fact, here, I can put this up on the screen. I can put it up right now so that you guys can see it. Boom. And this is what's up on our social media right now to let you guys know, anyone who is watching, that this was it, and that this is our the whole reason why we're here on the weekend is just to cover this stuff for you right now. So that's it, 20-0. It's not like it's a win, 20-0, but it was like all of the members of our legislature voted in favor for this. So now the question is, what's the Senate going to do? You would hope that the Senate is on board for this as well. My prediction, my crystal ball, is the Senate's going to want to do something, add their own thing in there. Then it's going to go back to the House, and then the Senate meets on Monday. And then when you hear the Senate talk about it afterwards, they always try to strong arm it in, saying that, hey, we don't want your stuff. We do our due diligence, and we think that we got everything that we need. So then they go back and forth with the House. So while this is a big deal right now that this was passed unanimously through the House, question is, what's the Senate going to do? Are they going to put their own riders in there? Are they going to try to get that and then delay the process further, sending it back to the House? Who knows? But they've got their own job to do. They've got their own responsibilities, and they're going to do what they think is right way and fair and just and all that stuff too. So that's what we're going to find out, but we're not going to find that out till Monday. I got a voice call coming in right now. So let's get this started for you, folks. I don't know if he can hear me yet, but hopefully he can hear me. Are you able to hear me? Hello?
Yes, yes.
Okay, you can hear me. Hey, that's great. All right, good.
Yeah.
I guess we're good to go. All right, hey, so on the phone right now, this is great. Thanks so much. We have our representative, Cobre, Aldan. I wasn't sure how today was going to go. I didn't know that there was going to be the amendments and all that other stuff. But I thought maybe you were going to vote against it. But no, you've got these amendments. And so can you break us down a little bit about what the amendments are and how you feel right now?
Well, I mean, you can't have your cake and eat it at the same time, but at least I know that the amendment that we did place in there, which is, like pretty much an oversight that no agreement or contract can be signed without without notifying us first so that we can review, any contract that will be signed prior. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's kind of the oversight that you wanted. We went through all the stuff that you mentioned before about like what you wanted in there, and that there was a whole lot of stuff that, in fact, here's the things. I know you know what this is, but it says before the legislature authorizes any financing, you need to know, hey, how much money actually needs, what's each dollar going to be used for, what's the cash and other resources, all those things.
Right.
Are you
So
satisfied?
because instead of like having to write all of those down, to make all those crazy, verbiage that's in there, it gave us, you just shorten it out and then, but in plain language, it's in there. We don't have to explain every single detail.
No, well, that's great.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing is
Yeah.
now if they're going to take any loans, they have to bring it to you first and let you know about it.
Yes, they got to bring the contract first so we can review prior to anybody signing it.
Now, do you have to give the approval also?
Well, because if anything that's in there that doesn't, like, let's say, for example, that if they try to put the, what do you call that, the security deposit in there, we can yank that out.
Oh, wow. All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. So you can make those changes before they go forward with any of that stuff.
Right. Because it's actually going to be a violation if they did anyways, because, there is a law that says that you cannot use those funds. Those are for their for the depositors' purposes, not a CUC or, anybody else's. And it's not even our money to touch it to begin with or to pledge it to anything.
Yeah,
You know
no
what I mean?
kidding. Well, I mean, and that was one of the sticking points for a long time. You brought that kind of stuff up in your video addresses, and you brought it up today about saying, hey, at the end of it, you're supposed to get your stuff back, or if you owe at the end, who's supposed to pay for that because they've already closed their
Right. 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 So it's all in there. Like I said, we just didn't have to spell it out in details, but we just made sure that it's in there. And then we didn't even have to, put that legislation in there because it's already, it's already a law. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Well, so that all worked out. So now this goes to the Senate. Have you heard anything from them about how you think this is going to go on Monday?
Well, technically, no. You know what I mean? The only thing is, and that's the crazy thing about the Senate. The legislations that we've proposed, were supposed to prevent things like this from happening to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Perfect example of this is there's a legislation that's sitting in the Senate, since March, March or April, that it requires CUC to undergo a what do you call it, and not an audit, an asset evaluation. So we need to figure out how much CUC is actually worth, and in order to do that, we gotta get somebody out there to appraise the asset value of CUC. You know what I mean? So if we would have done that, if we would have passed that, quickly, right? We would have known what asset CUC has and how much it's worth. You know what I mean? And that way, we already know that hey, you could use this as collateral instead of don't even entertain about talking about the security deposit. Let's talk about the asset you have, because we already the laws there that you had to be appraised and to see how much you're actually worth. You know what I mean? And then use that as collateral instead of bringing up the security deposit as a discussion.
Yeah.
But it's still sitting at the Senate.
So I got a question. If there's another way to get to that answer that you're looking for, the CUC said that they had already approached different lending institutions to try to get that line of credit. I imagine those lending institutions may have done their own estimate of what their assets are, or if maybe CUC has their own assets. I know you'd probably want to get your own anyway, independent. But is there a way of maybe obtaining that from those lending institutions or from CUC themselves?
Well, I wouldn't trust CUC report if it doesn't come from an actual appraiser that actually knows what to appraise. Then no, I don't trust it. And we cannot get anything from the bank because that would be proprietary to them. Because they paid for that what do you call it, appraisal.
Right. That's what I'm wondering, though, because they must have, I would imagine if they did something like that, they probably would have shared it with CUC. And even if it was proprietary to the bank, CUC say, show us that document you got from the bank of whatever. But just trying to come up with a way to get to that answer. But either way, an independent one would be great. I wonder what the appraisal would be on the distribution and the generation. And we've got generators that I think Magellan brought here to get the island started.
Right. And by the looks of things, if the restoration process keeps moving forward and upgrading everything, the asset value of CUC would move up. You know what I mean? So if we know that the asset has already moved up, you know what I mean, and you're only going to offer me, let's say, $100 million, but yet I know that my asset is worth more than that. No, I'm not going to entertain $100 million, because it's worth more than that. We did a lot of upgrades. Granted that the power plant is still shitty, but sorry for the language, but if the restoration during Sinlaku and U2 and Bavi and solar and all of that has improved the system should be worth more, But for somebody to come in and just say that, yeah, we think that, no, are you a certified auditor for a utility that, or what do you call that, a appraiser? Then, okay, we might consider that as a true factual, report. But for somebody to just come in like, yeah, I think that your telephone pole and your distribution system and your whatever is worth $1 million. No, are you a certified, appraiser for utilities? Then okay, you're worth that much.
Well, I would imagine we're worth a little bit more with all the new stuff that we got in from FEMA. Hopefully, we're worth a little bit more than we were not too long ago. Hey,
right. And the other thing too is that we made sure that any FEMA reimbursement would go straight to paying that debt off. What I mean? Along with insurance and whatever grant or whatever money that comes in to CUC that goes to pay for that, first and foremost to pay for that debt.
Yeah. Hey, did you see that memo that came out from the executive director about the reduction in hours and everything like that to the restoration?
Right. Because they're saying that they don't have no, funding, whatever. Well, now you do. You just got to go out there and try to figure it out. But we want to see that contract before you do sign it.
Well, there you go. All right. Well, this is a big thing that you've been focusing on for a long time. You got this one checked off. What's next for you?
Still going to try to fight for that independent audit. We're still going to try to get the, the actual appraisal value, you know what I mean? So that the people know exactly how much their asset is worth, and that they know exactly where all the monies and anything like that is going.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. So right now it's just sitting at the Senate. You know.
Yeah, so we'll have to see. So Monday
Yeah.
might be a busy day for them.
Well, hopefully they'll act and move, because from what I do understand, Brad, dealing with utilities, you have as a business, right? You because the utility is a profit generating entity. You have to know how much your asset is worth, and you have to know what your expenses are and where you can cut costs so that you can pass on the savings to your customers. And that's a good functioning, business if you audit yourself and you get your asset appraised. You know,
Hmm.
and all of that. And I want all of that kind of information to be readily available to the public. I want them to be able to go to the CUC website and, pull up the dashboard, and it'll tell you exactly how much money is going to what, how much they collected, how much is owed, all of this craziness. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any plans on heading over to the Senate? You going to make any comments over there?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, if they do call their session, I'm gonna be in there. I'm gonna always be all up in it. I will never, I ran because of the utility, and I will not let the people down. I would always be there for, utility. The decisions I made today, I made it with a heavy heart, but, you know, and I cannot, for the life of me, expect that, just because it's mismanaged, that doesn't mean that we're gonna leave like 5,000 people, without water or power. It's a hard pill to swallow, but, you know, it's a set sandwich that I have to eat.
Yeah, I know. I hear that. Well, I know you've got a whole weekend ahead of you, and so it's like just after 6 o'clock. I want to say thanks for sticking around afterwards and giving us this interview, give us a little bit more insight, and for all that you're doing up there on the hill. Thanks so much.
Always, always.
All right.
And again, I just wanted to say, like, I'm sorry to the people that I had to, I just had to. I cannot afford to see, 4 or 5,000 people without, the basic necessities of life.
Well, I mean, that's
So
it. At least you got the amendments that you wanted in there, and everybody else signed off on it. So now it's up to the Senate to see
yes,
what happens over there.
yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, thank you
All
so
right.
much.
Thank you, brother.
Have a great
All
night.
right.
All
You too,
right.
brother.
Bye bye. All right. That is our representative, Cobre Aldan, giving us a little update on his side of everything that happened and his take on the votes and what's next for him as the chair of the committee. All right. Well, what we're going to do, we're going to wrap it up here, and we will get you the full, complete story after this. That's exactly where you do the transcription right after, and pop it on up there. But you've got the news that broke. Voted 20 to 0. Everybody's in favor of the this line of credit. And so now it goes to the Senate and see what they have to say about it on Monday. So I want to say thanks for tuning in. Thanks for joining us for this continuing coverage of everything that's happening back home in Saipan. Now we're over here in New York. It's where it's 4:05 in the morning, and we get up for stuff like this, and it's important to you. So it's important to us. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us. You have a great evening and a great weekend, and we'll see you later. Take care, Marianas.